Welcome to the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. Every week, you'll hear strategies for building your online service-based business your way. And now, here's your host, veteran freelancer, author, and TEDx speaker, Laura Briggs.
Hi there. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. Today, I am talking about the freelance job board site that gave me my start. And it's one of the things that I get the most questions about overall. Do I recommend Upwork? Is Upwork still a good place to find freelance clients in 2021 and 2022? What you should know before you get started, all of those things. So I'm providing an update episode here with two goals. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about some of the basics of Upwork and who it's right for, and then some of the main issues you should know about going in as a freelancer in 2021. Now, my freelance journey started not just on Upwork, but actually on their previous site, Elance. So years ago, Elance and Odesk merged. Sometimes I still hear people mention one of those two older names, but now they're both under the umbrella of Upwork. And basically the way that this site works is that clients will go and open a free client account. They will post jobs, and then freelancers on the site will find those jobs or be invited to those jobs and submit bids on them. All payment is handled through Upwork, and the platform does offer a lot of benefits for freelancers, but I find sometimes that new freelancers just don't have a really good understanding of, what it is and how exactly it works. So Upwork is the biggest freelance job board site in the world. You will find jobs across many different categories there. So there are two main types of people on Upwork, clients and freelancers. And there are also two main ways to work as a freelancer. Those would be your fixed price jobs or hourly jobs. So when a client sets up a job on Upwork, they will assign it a category, a title. They will write a job description, which can be anywhere from a few sentences to multiple paragraphs. And then they will decide how they want to pay. It could be on an hourly basis with a set amount of hours as a cap per week, or it might be as a fixed price basis. So they might say, my budget for this is $200. Now, you are not obligated to bid on or accept the amount that the client has listed. In fact, I have discovered that most clients on Upwork really don't know what it costs, or they vastly underestimated what is involved. And so those are the two main ways that you can get paid. In a fixed price job, the client will fund milestones. So let's say it was that $200 project. Maybe phase one is turning in the first draft of that deliverable, and you would get $100 at that point. And then when you get the final version approved, you would get the remaining amount of that. You can set up milestones however you want. Now, one thing that always surprises me when freelancers are shocked by it is that Upwork charges a fee. Upwork is like PayPal. They are like every other company in the world in that they have to make money to operate and to continue to provide that service. Most of the way that Upwork makes money is through their freelancers, not their clients. So when you first start out working on projects as a freelancer on Upwork, you're going to pay Upwork 20% of whatever you are charging the client up to the first $500. So if you quote a client $500, you're going to get paid $400 of that, right? Because 20% of that is going to go to Upwork as a service fee. Lots of freelancers get very upset about this. Oh, Upwork's taking my money. There's such a simple solution to this that it always boggles my mind when people are so upset by it. Add the 20% to your baseline cost. So let's say that what you want to get paid is $500. Add in the 20% cost, and you don't even need to explain it to the client. You can if you want. You can say, this is my cost for doing this project plus the Upwork fee that they charge. I have done that before to let clients know that I am charging more because I can't afford to take a 20% loss. And so this is most important when you're new and you have a client that's charging bargain basement prices anyways, or they don't want to pay more than $20 an hour, because of course for you, that's $16 an hour before you take into account taxes and all of those types of things. So fixed price jobs and hourly jobs both involve a fee. After you hit that $500 mark with one client, every dollar kind of after that is charged at 10%, right? And that's until you hit the next milestone in your fees, right? So most people will be in the kind of middle band of the 10% rate because it's based on the lifetime billings by client. So for $0 to $500, you pay 20% to Upwork. For $500 and 1 penny up to $10,000, it's 10%. And then if you're working on a huge project or working with a client long-term, it's only 5%. So there's definitely an incentive to work with clients on a long-term basis. But you need to know this going in, right? Because it should not be a surprise when Upwork takes 20% of your earnings. So there's a couple main reasons that I still like Upwork, especially for new freelancers. First of all, it brings you business you wouldn't otherwise have. Upwork has brought in over $450,000 in revenue to my business from clients I otherwise would not have met. Now, that is just on platform earnings. That does not include any of the money from those clients that I have taken off the platform after the 2-year contract requirement, which I'll explain shortly, which is substantial. 2 of my longest clients, one of them has been with me for 7 years, the other 8.5. I have been on retainer with them every month for that entire time period, and we moved off the Upwork platform. So there's no fees being paid to them, and I have not calculated that in my $450K from Upwork. So it brings you business you wouldn't otherwise have because many clients still visit Upwork as their number one choice for trying to find a freelancer to begin with. They don't know about other sites. It pops up in their search results, so it's easiest for them to go there. Secondly, the escrow service and the hourly protections help you if you know what you are doing. Now, remember I mentioned those clients funding milestones in a fixed price job. That is done with Upwork serving as sort of an escrow service. So when the client uploads that $100 or whatever it might be for your first milestone, they have already made that payment to Upwork, and Upwork is essentially holding it on your behalf. There's a much greater chance that you will get paid by your clients because of this. Hourly protections are for those hourly jobs where you use Upwork's tracker, which I'm not a huge fan of. You have payment protection. So while you're working, the tracker is turned on, it's taking screenshots of your computer. I don't know exactly how often, but it's something like every 7 to 8 minutes. That is sort of your proof that you were working on that client's project. When you use the Upwork tracker, and it is what has been used to tag all of your time and to take those screenshots, a client cannot dispute it or claim that you didn't do the work as a way of not paying you, right? So that gives you some peace of mind that when you submit those hours, if you've done it that way, you're going to be protected. If you go the manual tracking route, so you're not using the Upwork work tracker, you do not have that same protection. A client can still dispute and challenge your earnings. And more often than not, Upwork sides with the clients in disputes. So it's beneficial to have them as sort of that arbitrator between you and the client if a dispute arises. Most disputes are extremely rare. I think I have dealt with 3 in the entirety of my freelance career on Upwork. They tend to be very client favored, right? I even had a client early on where I did use the hourly protections. It was proven that I did the work, and he just, filed a dispute claim with his credit card company. And so I eventually had to let it go and learn some important and painful lessons there. But even though you're being charged a fee and there's the possibility of a dispute, the number of new freelancers I talk to who have gotten ghosted or burned by private non-Upwork clients not paying them is much, much more than people who have not been paid on Upwork. There are so many people that don't have good payment systems and invoicing plans in place, and they end up paying the price when it comes to not getting those invoices taken care of by the client. The third reason I still like Upwork is because you can build up your resume and your job success score. Now, the job success score is a whole separate conversation about Upwork, but it's basically the percentage of success Upwork is assigning you by looking at many different factors. When you're new, this can help give you some credibility and some testimonials, because when the project is over with, you leave feedback for the client and they leave feedback for you. My Upwork profile continues to help me to this day, even though I only have maybe 1 or 2 projects on the platform at any given time, because when people Google my name or my name plus the word freelancer, they land on a profile that has hundreds of positive feedback comments. So it can help you in a number of different ways as a freelancer. So here's what happened when a client posts a job. Freelancers bid on it and ask more questions. So if the client didn't do enough in terms of detail, telling you what they were looking for, if you have some other questions that you'd like to have answered on a call, you would submit an initial pitch, talk about your background, and try to get the client's attention. The whole purpose here is for that client to either hire you directly or to get on a call with them. And you will have more success if you get on a call with a client because you will have proven your value to kick off that project. The client then chooses to interview those who responded. They may pick a couple of top people to talk to, a couple to do with a test job. And then at that point, the client either chooses or doesn't choose to hire the job out on Upwork. Not every client who posts a job on Upwork will hire a freelancer. That's another thing that catches new freelancers by surprise. The reason for this is because there's no fee to list a job on Upwork, right? It's relatively easy to do pretty quickly. You can pay per job that you end up hiring for or something like that, but there's no barrier there for the client. So they may just be shopping around or doing early research. You can join Upwork as an individual or an agency. There will be set costs per month, and then that is in addition to that amount that is taken out of every job that you do, right? So as a client, there's no charge to sign up on Upwork or to get quotes from freelancers, which I talked about. Payment processing, so that's when you've hired a client or you've hired a freelancer, you're making a payment to them hourly or fixed price. There is a 3% fee for that. Some clients that hire a lot will pay for the Plus plan, which is $50 per month. So that's what it looks like on the client side. Now, on the freelancer side, you can pay $14.99 for their Freelancer Plus membership. This it gives you a number of different benefits. So you get 80 connects per month, which are sort of like these bidding credits that you use to submit proposals on jobs. You will have a customized profile URL. You can keep your earnings on the site confidential, and you can see the bid range from other people on jobs. And you'll still stay discoverable in their search system even if you take a break. So $14.99, I find it very easy to justify that. You can also stay on the freelancer basic plan where you do not have to pay for that, but you will not get the same benefits as being on the Plus plan. And so I recommend to new freelancers, try it out for the very first time and don't sign up for the paid account just yet. Sign up for the basic account, and that will give you a good idea, like, is this right for you? Is there enough variety in the type of jobs that are posted in your category? So this free plan is designed only for people who have a single user. Maybe you only want to work on one project. You don't want to go through the headache of signing up for additional things. So you can definitely sign up for that and just sort of check it out if you are looking to do that. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what you really need to succeed on Upwork. So in my mind, there are three things that can really make you successful on Upwork, and they are in this order: the pitch, the profile, and the sample or testimonials. A lot of people put their profile as the top priority. Although it's important, it's not as important as your pitch. And most of what everyone is doing wrong on Upwork is sending horrible pitches. And so I always recommend checking that out first. Remember, you're competing against other freelancers. I have lots of great materials, including an Upwork pitching masterclass that you can check out and learn more about how to pitch on Upwork properly. But you want to distinguish yourself as an individual service provider because you are definitely competing against others. Your profile should include keywords, buzzwords, and examples of past client results, or the non-freelance experience you have that you're bringing over into the freelance world. And finally, your work samples or testimonials are especially helpful if you are an established freelancer, but you are brand new to the Upwork ecosystem. So let's say that you get a job. What happens next, right? So the client makes the offer and you accept, you complete the work and submit the milestone for release. Or if you're on that hourly job, you would submit that timesheet. They go in every Sunday night at UTC time, which is usually around 6 o'clock Central US. the client either asks for, if it's a fixed price job, the client might ask for revisions, they might release the fund right away, or they may ignore releasing the milestone. Most clients are pretty responsive, but some will not see it, or Upwork goes into their spam or something like that. It will automatically be released to you. And then if the job is complete, then you and the client leave feedback for each other. Let's talk briefly about some of the don't do's on Upwork. First of all, you need to understand their terms of service. The biggest mistake that freelancers can make is realizing that it is against the Upwork terms of service to meet a client on Upwork and take that client off the site. It is completely against their rules, and you can be completely banned from the entire site by saying, hey, just pay me through PayPal, or here's my email address. You can send me a check, right? If you meet the client on Upwork, the job needs to stay with payment on Upwork for 2 years. Otherwise, you have to pay substantial fees to move the project off the platform early. And those change from time to time. So do some research on Upwork's site to verify exactly what those fees are. They are substantial. The last I checked, it was thousands of dollars or some percentage of the, work that had already been done. So, you can do everything else off the site. You can say, listen, you can have my email. You can add me to your project management. We can talk on the phone. We can do calls over Zoom. We can do all of those things, but the payment has to stay on Upwork. Now, there are freelancers who will advocate for violating those terms of service. Do that completely at your own risk. View Upwork as a long-term thing. So is it worth it to take one client off the platform, especially if it's a short-term job and you get banned from using it the rest of your freelance career? It doesn't seem like it's worth it to me. So also don't speak rudely to clients. This should go without saying, but treating clients poorly or doing a bad job will set you up for failure. Remember that two-way feedback system. If you do a bad job on your very first project on Upwork, that feedback will follow you forever. As a new freelancer, you have 0 out of 5 stars, right? Because you have no experience yet. You don't want your first job to be 1 or 2 out of 5 stars because it's very hard to improve from that. So you want to start off on a good foot. And that goes with my third point here, which is do not take on a job that you cannot do well, because it will leave you in a situation where you'll find it very difficult to recover. So there's a number of different categories on Upwork, and I would say the most popular jobs are virtual assistants, writers of all types, marketing strategists, web developers, graphic designers, voiceover artists, sales specialists, even attorneys, translators, transcriptionists, customer service experts. They all get hired over Upwork. So now now that we know some of the basics, right? Let's talk about who does Upwork make sense for? The first thing that I recommend is to always check out the full site and do some market research first. See if there's a demand for your jobs. Let's say that I only write SEO blogs for health coaches. I might go on Upwork as a free user on their plan or as an unregistered user and do some research. How many health coach SEO blogs are posted within a given week? That will tell me if there's demand for my service. I might even scope out some of my competition to see what they're doing well and how I can distinguish myself from people already on the site doing a good job. That will tell you if it's even worth you making an effort. If you don't see a lot of demand for your freelance service, I would definitely not sign up for the paid plan, because it just doesn't make sense for you to try to bring in business when those jobs aren't going to be posted. This is a two-way marketplace, so there have to be clients posting jobs, and there also has to be enough freelancers to match it. And so do the research to see a good idea of what's already posted there. My second piece of advice is that there is no fast track to success on Upwork. You will not win your first bid. You may not win your first 50 proposals on Upwork. I'm sorry that that's a harsh piece of truth, but it is. The 32nd or 33rd proposal I sent on Upwork was the first one that was accepted. And it was really hard to figure out the algorithm. And it's why I've spent years figuring out how to be successful on Upwork, how to stand out to clients, how to write a great pitch, how to bring in that interest and get invited to jobs, which is where you don't have to spend those connects. Every job counts, and so start with something simple and small that you can knock out of the park. I call these fast, cheap, and simple jobs. Maybe you're a writer, but proofreading someone's PowerPoint only takes you a couple of hours, and it gives you a chance to get that great 5-star feedback right away. You'll have to kind of overcome the obstacle of being unknown on Upwork and go from there. Now, the other mistake that I make is, or the other mistake that I see people making is they're not pitching enough, right? Someone will say, oh, I've been on Upwork for 3 years. And my next question is always, how many pitches do you send per week? How many jobs do you respond to? Well, 1 or 2, and I don't get any of those. When I was in a heavy marketing phase of my business for years and Upwork was the primary source of revenue and new clients, I was sending anywhere from 10 to 20 Upwork proposals a week. Now, if you've already been doing that and those proposals are not converting, something is broken in your system. So you need to fix the proposal, most likely. You need to fix your work sample second and your profile third if you're trying to figure out which of those things is not going right at this current point in time. So now let's talk about 2021, 2022, me being, I've been on the Upwork platform, so not just Elance. I have been on Upwork since the fall of 2015. So we are now coming up on 6 years of being on that platform. Upwork is no longer the biggest driver of my freelance clients, for sure. It has been that way for probably 2.5 years. Most of my clients are on private retainer. They come from referrals. They come from cold pitching. However, I do from time to time land awesome jobs on Upwork, and I continue to keep my profile active there and bid every so often just to make sure I'm not missing any major opportunities there. So if you've honestly tried Upwork for a while and you've sent those 10 to 20 proposals a week for 3 months and you're not getting results, it's okay to say, I guess Upwork isn't the platform for me and I'm deciding to move on. But don't write it off until you've really given it a fair shot. Remember those things I was talking about earlier, those benefits of Upwork, like getting those clients that you never would have met otherwise. So many of my long-term clients and my long-term referral clients are ones who I have originally met on Upwork or were a colleague of someone that I worked with on Upwork. And like I mentioned previously, that feedback from past jobs never really hurts. Now, some of the sort of, downsides about Upwork, you are going to have to pay that 20% service fee. I will also say that Upwork is not for everyone and it is extremely competitive. It is very competitive in the writing category, probably followed by the administrative assistance category. There is a ton of competition on this platform. And so you need to be very careful in thinking about that process. Are you willing to try to be competitive? If you are coming in as a freelancer who has done plenty of off-platform work, do you have enough in your pitch where you can talk about the significant expertise that you have off of the platform? It is very, very competitive, and it is also important that you respond relatively quickly to jobs. I think a lot of people are sort of waiting for freelance jobs to drop in their lap. They're hoping it just shows up in their inbox. That is not how Upwork works. You need to be on the platform. You need to be searching for jobs, using keywords. These are all strategies that I teach in my course, The Guide to Killing It on Upwork, which does include the Upwork Pitching Masterclass. But these are sort of your general things to keep in mind. You're going to have to be competitive, right? You are directly competing against other freelancers on the site. You have to follow Upwork's rules. It's not your business. It is their business. So you play by their rules, just as you would play by their rules on Facebook or Twitter by not violating terms of service or posting things that they say are, not acceptable for that platform. You'll need to be very active as a newbie because that hardest job to land will be the very first one. And you want to make sure that it's one that you can do so well that the client is just thrilled about the opportunity to work with you again. So do I still recommend Upwork in 2021, 2022? I do. We have had a number of successful graduates in my nonprofit go and land the majority of their new freelance business on Upwork. We teach them how to write their profiles, how to write their pitches, how to deal with problematic Upwork clients who don't know what they want, right? And so I very much see that from the beginner perspective. Even though I'm not a beginner, I have helped lots of beginners get their first projects on Upwork, and it does still work. But you have to be savvy. You have to have an amazing pitch. You have to know how to walk a client through the sales process. Upwork is doing half the work by bringing you clients who are already ready to outsource. But that still means it falls to you to be able to convince the client that you are the right fit. And so you need to do everything possible to package yourself up as a savvy, knowledgeable freelancer who is not going to let them down. And you need to be willing to turn down jobs or invitations that aren't a fit for you because they seem too complicated or the client seems difficult to deal with. And my final note is a really common complaint about Upwork today is, oh, there's so many jobs that are poorly paid. There's just so many where the client says my pay is $8 an hour. It's $2 per 100 words you write. Don't apply to those jobs. It's just like the Upwork service fee. You are not the client. Those are not the clients for you, whether you are on or off the Upwork platform. Ignore them and move on. There is a little bit of a guessing game when you first get started because not every client will be that transparent with their pricing, and it can be difficult to figure that out. So you'll have to submit to a lot of jobs when you get started and know that you will not hear back from most of them. If you want to increase your chances of that, I strongly recommend hiring a coach or taking the Upwork pitching masterclass. Those kinds of things can be a game changer for you to refine the piece in the puzzle that probably isn't working. And that can really turn things, completely to the positive direction where you're having conversations with clients and where you're getting hired. It is really where most freelancers fall apart is the pitch. They don't know how to do it. Their profile is not written well on Upwork, and they're saying the same things that every other applicant is saying. And when you look no different than anyone else on the site, the client will default to the cheapest possible price. So don't apply to jobs where it seems cheap. If you apply to a job where a client seems difficult or they have bad reviews on their profile from past freelancers, move on. Don't accept the job. You don't have to. Start small, learn the platform, learn the rules, and go from there. This is not the chance where you're trying to earn that $5,000 project out of the gate. Start small and get the experience and build up your profile. Upwork also has many different tiers of programs where they give you additional benefits for being top rated or being, I've been invited and enrolled in the expert vetted freelancer program. So there's plenty of opportunity out there to grow your business, but you have to know how the Upwork algorithm works. You have to follow their rules and you have to be competitive. So if you do that market research and find that there are some great opportunities out there for you, the next step is to craft that pitch or to get the help from the Upwork pitching masterclass. So I'd love to hear, have you had success with Upwork? Have you had challenges with it? Feel free to reach out to me, info@betterbizacademy.com to share more of your stories. And thanks for tuning in to another episode.